Noyanui beats TJ Doheny. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to me. Yes, I hope you're all well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, just finished watching the Noyanui fight against TJ Doheny, however you pronounce his name. Anyway, it was a really good fight. I thought it was really technical. I was really enjoying how Doheny was actually taking it to Inoue, and he was finding him southpaw stance for most of it. He switched up in the 5th or 6th round for just about 30 seconds and then went back to southpaw. But he was finding range. He was moving around. He was feinting a lot. And Inoue was really slow in just trying to work him out, figure him out. And he was taking a couple of shots. But then as the rounds progressed, he was finding his mark a lot more. But what was really noticeable from the very first round, where they were just sort of tapping each other out and feeling each other out, Inoue was going for the body. He was going for the body a lot more. And as the rounds went on from 2nd to 3rd to 4th, you could definitely see that's what he was doing. He was definitely very aware of Doheny's ability and the tactics he was employing. He was very defensive in many ways, but he just kept on going after the body, then started to pick him off as the rounds went on. Now, don't get me wrong, this wasn't all one-sided Inoue, far from it. It was kind of even for a couple of rounds there, and I actually had a couple of rounds going to Doheny as well. So it was a slow start by Inoue, but I think it's on purpose. It was purposeful. When it came into about 6th round, I think it was, Inoue just changed his tactics completely. He actually invited Doheny onto him, and he was just saying, right, okay, you come forward, let's just see what you got. But he just kept on going to the body. Then as those rounds went on, the 4th, 5th, and 6th, then Inoue was starting to find headshots as well. So they were both pointing off each other, as it were. But you could feel that Inoue was gathering pace, it was gathering momentum, it was building up to a finish. You could feel it. And definitely in the 6th, you got that feeling at the end of the 6th. Then into the 7th, and Inoue just sort of started to take control. And it's going after those body shots. And then Inoue landed a left hook body shot at the start of the combination. And then all of a sudden, Doheny just kind of went and said, no, stop. And then he kind of stumbled a little bit, and then he took a knee. And then the ref said, okay, no, waved it all off. And Inoue was just sort of stood there going, what's going on? What's happened? And it wasn't as if it was a body shot that had hurt him. What it appears to have been was some kind of muscular issue in his back. And I don't know if you've ever had a muscle injury to your back, but also it will take your wind away. If you just turn one way and it catches you, all of a sudden it'll be, and it just takes your breath away. So, I'm not surprised that he's just, he's thrown in the towel, as it were, or taken a knee on that, because, he's not going to be able to carry on. But it was almost like it was just gathering pace. It was just getting to the point where Inoue was just going to start unloading on him, and we could have seen what the game plan was all about. Be defensively astute, just start to break him down in the body, then start to open him up upstairs as well. And then as you got into the second half of the fight, unleash hell, as it were, and then it's telling him what's what, as it were. And I thought we were just about to get there. Doheny was getting marked up quite a lot from the 2nd round, I believe it was. 2nd or 3rd round, he was getting marked up quite a lot. And certainly in the 6th round, you could really see that Doheny seemed to be tiring out. He seemed to be letting his guard down, letting his hands down a little bit more. He was more open. He wasn't as mobile as he was in the early rounds as well. And this, I would imagine this is all coming from the body shots as well. Because, in terms of pointing and headshots, they were kind of going like for me. But it was Inoue who was really hurting him with those consistent body shots. And look, it counted really, obviously, didn't it? But say that one body shot, whether that caused the damage or whether he just twisted as he was maneuvering Doheny, that's obviously what caused the damage, and quite rightly so. No embarrassment for Doheny whatsoever for pulling the plug on that one, because if you're injured, you're injured. You can't fight on. But my gut feeling is that Inoue would have won anyway. The momentum was there. And it was just so amazing just to watch a fighter of Inoue's class, pound for pound, right up there. It's always going to be the case. Is he number 1, 2, or 3 pound for pound? I would put him at a firm number 2. behind Usyk. Because just the way he's convincing in the way he takes apart his opponents, I just think is absolutely amazing. And he's always great on the offensive, but now he's showing us that he's going to take his time and just tighten up all his defenses as well. And it's almost like we've found, or not we found, but he's shown us that he is the complete fighter who was still willing to learn, still able to adapt, and just improve on those areas, those micro areas, those minute areas that just need attention, where a much better fighter or an elite fighter will be able to expose. And he's just saying, no, hold on a minute. I'm just going to tighten everything up there, and I'm going to show you what's what. You know, Doheny put on a decent display, actually a very good display. Southpaw stance, as I say, and he was finding his mark as well. So it was kind of even Stevens, I would say, you know, fourth, fifth round, let's say. And then I knew he just kind of stepped it up, and you could see he was just right, I've worked you out, you know, I've played with you a little bit, and now I'm just going to start piling on the pressure, and away we go. But again, it wasn't, let's say, a spectacular display from Inoue, but I think it was just a fantastic display. And it wasn't a fantastic fight in terms of entertainment, I didn't think, but what it was just a very technical fight from both fighters, and they were both giving it as well. So I really enjoyed it. Now, why this fight was on a Tuesday night in Tokyo, I have no idea, but there we go. A lunchtime brawl for us in the UK to enjoy, and it was good. It was a great fight. I mean, you know, does this mean that Inoue is number one pound for pound? No, I'd still put him where he was before. He's number two. You know, I just don't think Doheny was the kind of level of opponent that really had to bring out of Inoue something that would put him at number one, if you know what I mean. You know, you have to find another fighter. Now, whether Inoue stays there or not, I don't know, in terms of this weight class, or whether he's ever going to come out of Tokyo to fight. I mean, you know, that's his home, really. He's getting 60,000 watching him anyway. You kind of ask, well, why should he? You know, he's undisputed. They've got to take it away from him. But I'm sure there are lots and lots of negotiations behind the scenes with Turki Al-Sheikh to try and get him onto one of the Saudi Riyadh cards. I would not be surprised if that happens in the future, and what a spectacle that would be as well. But as I say, really interesting fight, but it's almost like it was a bit of a dull end to the fight, almost like a, you know, tumbleweed, you know, was rolling down the road. Everyone's going, well, what's going on? What's happening? But there we go. Listen, it was a decent fight from both fighters, I thought, but Inoue just was building up his class and building up to a victory, an inevitable victory, I thought. But let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you see the fight as I saw it, that Inoue was just building up and it was just going to be inevitable? Did you think it was kind of even Stevens before then? What do you think of Doheny? Do you think he was, you know, putting on decent display? I thought he was, but, you know, whatever age he was, 36, 37 years old, against Inoue's, you know, I think the mileage was starting to show by the fourth and fifth round, and his age was starting to show, whereas Inoue's wasn't. He was just kind of building into the fight. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos, and I will catch you again. Another video coming very soon. Bye now. So Misfits 18 is upon us this coming weekend. What do we think of it? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to me, and I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for future videos. So Misfits 18, the influence of boxing stuff, it's going on this weekend in Newcastle. Now, I said to myself I wouldn't be making these videos anymore about Misfits so much because, like I said, it's a level of competition that I just wasn't really that into anymore. But I'll say a couple of shows that I've watched, and I thought, yeah, a couple of fights are not too bad. But in this one, they've announced this pro stake tournament where they've got pro fighters from MMA and boxing world, and they put them in there. So there's an interesting point here. You've got a couple of MMA fighters who are from the MMA world, and this is where I see MMA fighters getting into the boxing arena, as it were, at that level against other pros who are not at a high level, at a medium level or low level, but they're pro fighters or were pro fighters. That's where you slot in MMA fighters. That's where they need to be. So actually, this is a nice fit for some MMA fighters to come into this pro stake tournament. So what if you're going to watch this, watch out for that. There are 4 fighters. They're going to have a couple of fights on the same night and in a kind of knockout phase, and one is going to be named the champion at the end of it. Now, I just suffered the indignity of watching the press conference here, and yeah, as per usual, you know, there's lots of back chat and lots of smack talk amongst everybody, and you know, it's a bit embarrassing, really. I've got to say, it's just a bit embarrassing how a lot of these people are talking. You know, I find it embarrassing when pro boxers go at each other as well. You know, I think, you know, you can talk in a professional manner, but you don't have to talk in that way either. But there we go. Anyway, listen, I just suffered the indignity, as I say, of watching this, and a couple of interesting things to look out for. The headline act, as it were, I'm going to call it an act because, hey, look, they're trying, but, you know, we're not really at that level. Elle Brooke is taken on Jenny Savage in a middleweight contest. There are a couple of other female bouts as well. Julie Poker for the cruiserweight title. Nikki Hru, I think, is fighting as well. I saw the last time out. She didn't look too bad as a fighter either. So, you know, there's some interesting developments there if you're into this scene, right? But I've got to say that one of the boxers, Joey Knight, who's also friends with True Geordie and people like that. He's fighting on this card in a kind of final eliminator where he's going to eventually find Dean the Great at some point down the road. But here's the interesting thing. He was talking about the overall champion in his weight division, Dean the Great, who's been calling out the likes of Ryan Garcia and Shakur Stevenson, all this kind of stuff. Now, I made a video quite a while ago now, kind of taking the piss out of Dean the Great, you know, this YouTuber boxer who's trying to call out world level fighters. And it was really interesting what Joey Knight said there. He's basically saying it's just embarrassing to hear, you know, somebody like Dean the Great calling out these world level fighters. And he was saying, look, there are levels to this, and this is what I've always said. There are levels to this. This DAZN boxing, this Misfits boxing is kind of entertaining if you're into that sort of stuff. If you're into seeing these influencers, you know, just go crack each other, and maybe the skills aren't there, and maybe you know, you're looking for something different, and maybe this is your thing. I think there was a definite place for Misfits boxing where boxing in general was on a bit of a low. Everybody was getting really frustrated with boxing because we weren't getting the fights that we really wanted to see. Then the Saudis came on board, Turkey al-Sheikh. Then all of a sudden the landscape in the boxing world, pro boxing world, has suddenly re-energized. And it seems to be gathering more momentum. We're getting the fights that we really want to see. High-level fights, world title fights, fights that we never thought we'd see. Fighter against fighter, elimination fights to go on in the next few months to fight on for something even bigger. So we're getting that now. So all of a sudden, I kind of look at Misfits and I think, you know, it's there was a place for it, but I'm not sure the place is anymore. Or certainly the appeal isn't there anymore. So it's really interesting to see the likes of Joey Knight there, who's a decent little fighter, by the way. There's no doubt about it. But, you know, he's got his head screwed on right to say, look, there are levels to this. You know, I go into the ring with a pro boxer, even a low level pro boxer. You know, I'm going to get beat here. It's idiotic for me to call out somebody at a much higher level, and that's what he's basically saying of all of them. You know, just say, you know your place, as it were. The organizer of the event, and Mams Taylor, he was talking about the lead act, Elle Brooke, saying, well, if she carries on this trajectory, then, you know, there's no reason why she can't go pro. You know, okay, she may do, who knows? It really depends at what level, you know, she wants to continue on to. But again, these are big words, these are big ambitions. And right now, where she's staying now, or if they want to continue in this Misfits world, maybe that's where they should stay and only should stay. Because if they come up against a proper pro boxer, they will be found out. They would definitely be found out. If they want to fight MMA fighters or any other fighter who's not strictly a boxer with gloves, then all of a sudden, you know, you might find an interesting fight there. You might find an interesting contest. But anything more than that, it's a bit of a nonsense. Anyway, listen, It's on DAZN this coming weekend. If you're really interested, it's in the UK, in Newcastle. It'll be going on from 6 o'clock in the evening or something like that, all the way till 10 or 11 or whatever it is. Pro Stake tournament, that'll be quite interesting to see. I think a couple of the female matchups it could be quite to see. A couple of the blokes, and I'm just thinking, nah, who really cares about that? But I'll definitely watch out for Joey Knight fighting Little Cray Cray. Decent little fighter, both of them actually. But Joey Knight, I expect to win from him. All I would say to Joey Knight is just that, sometimes keep the showboat in check just a little. Not too much, because you still want to entertain everybody. But just know who you're up against. And I'm sure he does. He's not going to underestimate, someone like Little Cray Cray as well. But it's interesting to see that you got someone like Joey Knight there who's coming in with more of a professional approach, a professional attitude, and he knows what's what behind the scenes, where you got these other characters who are just, it's pretty embarrassing, really. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But are you going to be watching Misfits 18 this coming weekend? I may do. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I will catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now. How has Anthony Joshua changed? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to S1E11. I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So we know Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting Daniel Dubois in a couple of weeks at Wembley Stadium on the Riyadh season card, of course. Lots of chatter, lots of talk over the last couple of weeks about who's going to win, of course. Two big heavyweights, two massive punchers. Who's going to win? Who realistically has got it within their locker to come out on top? Now, I've already put the case forward for Anthony Joshua to have much more in his locker over Daniel Dubois. However, look, heavyweight boxing, anything can happen. Lots of people say, no, don't discount Daniel Dubois. If he lands a punch, it's going to send shockwaves through Anthony Joshua's, psyche, as it were, and he's going to feel the full force of that, and it could be game over. At the end of the day, this is all opinion, this is all predictions. Nobody really knows. We'll find out, won't we? We'll find out on the night. But this video is all about how I think Anthony Joshua has changed over the last year or so, and why it makes him a much better boxer. So there's one word for Anthony Joshua, and you've heard lots of other words. Spiteful. He's got the spite. All these boxing pundits, ex-boxers, coming on saying they're giving all their opinions. At the end of the day, it's just opinion. Just as mine. This is just an opinion, right? But I'll give you one word of how Anthony Joshua has completely changed. And the word is clinical. He is now clinical. When he fought Franklin and when he fought Hellenius, he wasn't clinical. He was still tentative. He was still unsure what his game plan was. He was still not really convinced by what he was doing and how he had to fight against his opponent. Teams up with Ben Davison, then all of a sudden things start to slot into place. The analysis from Davison's team, the way he's working with Joshua as well, that exchange of information, the exchange of ideas, the way they're working with each other on a daily basis, coupled with a shift from Anthony Joshua over the last 2 or 3 years where he's kind of brought it more about him and less about pleasing everybody. He's become a bit of a git, if you know what I mean. He's not the media darling anymore, and quite rightly, he shouldn't be. He should be that git, and this is what people are talking about. Oh, he's a bit more spiteful now. I don't see it as spiteful. I see it being really clinical. Now he's teamed up with Davison and his team. It's all about knowing the numbers, knowing exactly what you're going to do, studying your opponent, knowing everything about your opponent. If he does this, you do that. When he does this, when he shows his weaknesses there, you expose it. And for me, Daniel Dubois has so many weaknesses to expose that he's going to get caught, and he's going to get caught a lot more than Anthony Joshua will. Now, again, who knows? We don't know until the fight is being fought who's going to come out on top. But for me, this is why I was saying Anthony Joshua has got the edge over Daniel Dubois. He's just got more in his locker. But now he's absolutely 100% clinical. He knows exactly what he needs to do. I don't see that from Daniel Dubois. I still see somebody who's really unsure about what they need to do in the ring. His demeanor, his facial expression, he looks lost a lot of time. Even though he's come off these 2 good wins, great wins, he still looks lost. In the fight against Jarrell Miller and in the fight against Hrgovic as well, there was just so many times where I thought he just wasn't convincing. Yes, he was convincing in the victory, but he was getting caught so many times. And yes, he didn't go down, and yes, he didn't really get affected by it, but it still wasn't a picture perfect performance. Now, you could label the same Anthony Joshua, of course we could. In fact, you could label this at any boxer. Any boxer can have good moments and bad moments in a fight. But with Anthony Joshua, we've seen a progression since the Usyk defeat, or the second Usyk defeat, when he started on this comeback trail, in inverted commas, when he went through Franklin and Helenius, not convincing for me. Still unsure. And because he was still backwards and forwards from United States with his trainer over there. Then he teamed up with Davidson, and everything seemed to go 100% right. And it was like this light switch had been turned on, and everything was in full view. He knew exactly what he needed to do. And that's what I say. It's one word. It's one word for Joshua: clinical. That's it. And when he fought Wallin, it was a demolition job. Wallin's no slouch. He's not a fantastic boxer by any stretch of the imagination, but he's no slouch either. When he went in with Ngannou, yes, I've made my thoughts on the Ngannou fight, 100 times. He's not a boxer. He never should have been in there. But he got his opportunity, the second opportunity against AJ, on the back of his good performance, great performance you might add, over Tyson Fury. But we all agree that Tyson Fury should have put him away. He totally underestimated him, and he let him get into that fight. Whereas AJ was like, nah. You're coming into my ring now. You're coming into my arena. I'm going to show you what's what. And that's what it was. Whereas before you would have been tentative, you would howl back. Nope, you saw the opening. Bang, went for it. Right down the pipe, right hand. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And then Ngannou was out of there second round. And I still watch that fight time and time again. Not because I think that it's a great boxing match. Not because I think Ngannou had any chance in there whatsoever. And it's easy for me to say that afterwards. But I was saying this beforehand if you go watch my archive. It's all about AJ and his approach to the fight, his approach to the Wallin fight, his approach to the Ngannou fight, and how there was no mercy. It was just clinical. That's why people are saying there's a bit of spite there. For me, it's all business. It's all numbers. This is where AJ excels now. This is where AJ, I believe, is going to do a number on Daniel Dubois. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But for me, there's only one word for AJ. This is how he's changed. He's 100% clinical. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for future videos. And I will catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now. So the fight is on. Canelo Alvarez against Edgar Berlanga. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to Me Edson. I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So this Saturday night, 4 a.m. UK time, Sunday morning that is, for Canelo against Berlanga in Las Vegas. So this week, it's kind of hyped up a little bit, right? We've had the talk, we've had the head-to-head, we've had the press conferences, the media have gathered, they've all had their thoughts here, and overwhelmingly, lots of people out there in the media, but also on YouTube, going for Canelo win. They say it's going to be another win. Now, in a previous video, I kind of mentioned the Canelo fight against Berlanga, and I said, don't be so sure. These are my thoughts. Don't be so sure that Berlanga is just going to be a walkover. I certainly don't think he has. He's got a 3-inch reach advantage. He's got 5.5 inches in height advantage as well. He's younger, less miles on the clock. Canelo Alvarez has got 65 fights under his belt. Granted, he's only lost 2 and drawn 2, but Belanga's only got 22 fights and 17 KOs. No draws, no losses. Now, you could say, yes, is he at the stage of Canelo? Is he at the class at Canelo? I personally don't believe he is. However, you put all these other factors in play with height and reach and youth on his side and less miles on the clock, then all of a sudden things start to level up a little bit. Build into this, the last 5 fights that Canelo Alvarez has had, he's been okay, but he hasn't really put away his opponents. He's won them all, granted, and he's won them well, but they've all been by unanimous decision. He hasn't really given the knockout blow, and maybe that's not just in his locker anymore. Maybe he just doesn't put the combinations together like he used to. I think he's slowed down. Of course, he's still in the pound-for-pound rankings, and rightly so. But I think he's slowed down. And he's also got the champion's choice of handpicking opponents. So there comes a point where the king will be dethroned. And we don't know when that is. And at some point, Canelo Alvarez is going to meet somebody who's going to give him a tough fight. Now, you could say, well, there are much bigger fights out there. We all know the Benavidez fight. That's the one that we really want. Will he go back up to fight Bivol after Bivol's fought Beterbiev? Who knows? We don't know. I mean, there are other fights out there that the world wants Canelo to have. But he's got champion's choice. He's got king's choice. He'll just handpick whoever he wants. Now, the good thing about Canelo, or the great thing about Canelo, is that he hasn't shied away from boxing. He hasn't shied away from fights. He's still given us 2 fights a year. Unlike other champions or would-be champions who have big layoffs between their fights. He hasn't done that. He's consistently fought a couple of times a year. Granted, we always question, especially in recent years, is he really fighting the opponents that he really should be fighting, that are really going to challenge him? Now with Berlanga, if he gets his tactics right, I think he could be that fighter who takes it to Canelo and asks him a lot of questions. If the tactic is to go in there and box Canelo and go the 12 rounds and leave it up to the judges, he's lost the fight. Berlanga will lose that fight. I cannot see Canelo Alvarez losing it. However, if he goes in there, goes on the front foot and pressurizes him and actually goes for the knockout blow, I think he'll win. He'll unnerve Canelo. He'll force him into mistakes. And if he uses his height and reach advantage and the youth on his side, Canelo could be in a lot of trouble. Now, I appreciate that everybody, virtually every man and his dog, is going for Canelo in this fight. And you've got to say that's the logical choice. That is the right choice to have. But what I'm saying here is don't be surprised if Berlanga causes an upset or shocks a lot of people in the way he performs. Not necessarily that he'll win, but he'll probably give Canelo Alvarez the biggest test that he's had in a long time. Let us know your thoughts here. I think Canelo Alvarez has kind of underestimated Berlanga here a little bit. I think Berlanga's out for blood. He wants to prove a point. He is the young buck. He's going after Canelo Alvarez's crown. This could be an epic fight. It's just a shame it's at 4 o'clock in the morning for here in the UK. It's probably one of the best fights of the year to come out of America this year. A lot of the focus seems to be on Riyadh, and in Europe and certainly in the UK there's lots of boxing events, and yes, we've had a few big nights in the United States, but this by far is probably one of the biggest so far. It certainly is for Berlanga, that's for sure. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But as I say, I'm not predicting that Canelo's gonna get a knockout blow. I just don't think he's got it in him anymore. I just don't think he's got it in him to have the combinations like he once did. And I just don't think he's going to get Berlanga out there. Now, I could have egg on my face after this, but my gut feeling is telling me, just looking at all the data, looking at its height and reach and youth and miles on the clock and tactics, if he gets the tactics right, Berlanga could be a big problem. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And if I get this right and Berlanga wins, I will make another video saying I told you so. Catch you again. Bye now. when are these boxers ever going to get a reality check? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to Tommy Edson. I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, Floyd Mayweather over the weekend in an exhibition bout against John Gotti III, or God knows whatever his name was. They fought off in Mexico, and well, it was just, I wasn't going to watch it. I didn't watch it. I caught up with the highlights afterwards, and it was just, you know, it was just rubbish. It was just rubbish to watch. Look, Floyd Mayweather is 47 years old or wherever he is. And yeah, he was fighting a bigger guy, but it was just, you know, it wasn't as if they were really going for it, were they? You know, it's okay. It was an exhibition bout. I get it. Don't get me wrong. Before you'll start tapping away, don't you understand what an exhibition bout is? I do. But it's just, you know, when at the final bell, when the crowd are booing, you know something's up. You know something's up. You know something is not quite right with what's going on. This is not a spectator sport. This is not, you know, you're paying 40, 50 pounds or whatever it is. I don't know, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, whatever it is, dollars, shekels, just to watch this fight in inverted commas. And it's, you know, somebody's taking target practice in Mayweather. He's just finding himself all the time. And, you know, it's just not a fight. It's not a competitive fight. And this is why I'm getting really fed up and annoyed of these kinds of contests anymore, because they just seem to be taking the piss out of the boxing public. Now, nobody's twisting the boxers and fans' arms to go and watch these things or pay for them. But you kind of been sold a dream that just isn't there. You kind of being sold something, and I'm just not buying it. I'm just not smelling that coffee. I'm not drinking that woo-woo juice. It's just not for me. It just seems ridiculous. And, you know, I made a video a couple of weeks ago about, I think, you know, like Jake Paul is a joke, and I'll kind of clarify what I mean by that, but also how I'm kind of so anti him fighting Mike Tyson. What is Mike Tyson doing? I know Carl Froch came out this week and kind of repeated what I said, you know, a few weeks ago, or maybe in 2 or 3 months ago as well, that, you know, it should not be happening. It's a ridiculous fight, right? And they have the press conference this week, and they're sort of pushing and shoving, and, you know, there's a bit of, you know, they're laughing and everything, and Jake Paul's trying to convince the world that he'll be world champion one day, and it's just absolute nonsense. And, you know, you're going to watch this fight if you are going to watch it. If you're going to be that way inclined to want to watch it, I'm not. I won't be watching it. And to think, oh, this is a real match. This is a real boxing match. And it's just, and even if it is, it's just not something I want to watch, because it's not competitive. It's not why would you? It's like putting in Anthony Joshua in against Carl Frampton, right? It's just, I would not watch it, because it's just a ridiculous fight. And this is just another kind of level of ridiculousness. It's just, and the same with Mayweather and his antics, you know, just keep on going after these bouts that nobody wants to watch, you know. And they were talking about KSI fighting him again, or, you know, some celebrity matchup as well. It's just like, who cares? Don't want that. Don't want it. Don't care. Jake Paul, right? I'll get onto him as well. Why do I think he's a joke? I don't think he's a joke because of his boxing talent or the way he's improved as a boxer. That's not the case here. I actually feel that he's dedicated himself quite well. But you put him in a ring with anybody at whatever weight class he is at, right, or whatever he settles at, because he fluctuates, right, according to who he's going to fight, okay? You put him in against any club boxer, any kind of novice boxer, and he fought novice boxer in Tommy Fury, right? Tommy Fury, who would not be getting any kind of money unless he'd, well, unfortunately, his relationship with that influencer Molly May or whatever has split up as well. So, you know, unfortunate for him, of course. But if he wasn't for him, he hadn't been on TV Love Island. If he didn't have the Fury name, he wouldn't have any kind of name recognition with the likes of KSI, Logan Paul, Jake Paul wanting to fight him. That's the nature of it. He would just be fighting at low-level competitions, probably getting a couple of £100 here, you know, just for a fight. I mean, you know, maybe a few £100 for a fight. You wouldn't be getting any money at all. But if you put him in with him and the likes of him at that very low level novice entry, he would get found out. And guess what? He got found out against Tommy Fury. Now, if you put Jake Paul in with Tommy Fury now, I've got a feeling that Jake Paul might win. But that's got nothing to do with how bad Tommy Fury is and how great Jake Paul is. It's just that Tommy Fury has been inactive. and he hasn't fought enough because he's kind of gone off on a different tangent. Jake Paul has been fighting and continued to fight and has improved, but they're still at a lower level. So then if you put Jake Paul in with any kind of other boxer at that kind of level or a little bit above, who's got no name for themselves, hasn't even won an area title or regional title or anything like that, got no name for themselves, they're trying to build up their name, they're trying to build up their record, then all of a sudden he'd come unstuck. But the whole point is that he's going after these big names, Jake Paul, and this is what annoys me of the likes of people who commentate and think that, oh, Jake Paul is a good fighter. He isn't. He isn't a good fighter. Look, I listen to a guy called Joe Rogan in his podcast, but, and he's really into his combat sports, and he keeps on going on about, X, Y, and Z in terms of combat sports, right? And he keeps saying, oh, yeah, well, boxing this, boxing that. I'll tell you what, he knows fuck all about boxing then. Because he keeps on saying, oh, Jake Paul, I've been telling people, oh, if he wasn't a YouTuber, you take him more seriously. Well, yeah, you take him seriously as a novice boxer. That's it. You would take him seriously as somebody who's trying to improve. And he keeps on saying, he's beat all these world champion MMAs. Who can't fight? Who can't box? Oh, he beat Mike Perry. Well, Mike Perry was an atrocious boxer. Just look at his stance. Just look at the way he moved. It was terrible. He went in against Tommy Fury. He was a novice boxer and he lost. This is what you don't understand boxing. You don't understand who your competition is. If Jake Paul went in with that kind of level opposition and was trying to incrementally improve, beat better opposition, he would have all my respect because he's doing it the right way. When he comes out and starts saying, I'm going to be world champion, then you're not going to be world champion. The absurdity of it now, he might get kind of a Francis Ngannou opportunity where he doesn't really deserve it, but he gets in there with a world champion somewhere because of his name. And then all of a sudden, hey, anything can happen. You get a lucky shot, then all of a sudden, but you are not a good boxer. You are not a good boxer at all. And I think this absurdity that's going on in boxing with either these kind of exhibition bouts that are they're trying to convince us they are proper boxing matches, or just trying to fight a 58-year-old man and just health risks all over the place. And what the hell are you getting in the ring with a 58-year-old? What the hell is Mike Tyson getting in the ring at his age with a 26, 27-year-old? It's absolutely absurd. It's almost like it's taking boxing, the sport of boxing, the challenge of boxing, two competitors who are matched up, who are kind of, you think, oh, who's going to win here? This is what we want, right? We've strived for 50-50 fights. Turkey al-Sheikh, and Saudis, they kind of try to strip away all the politics and say, we want 50-50 fights. We want bangers. Who's really going to win here? And then all of a sudden you've got this other side to boxing. It's just a farce. It's just absolute chaos. So Floyd Mayweather at the weekend, wins, and it's just that, but everybody's booing. What did you expect? Why are you booing at something that you knew was going to be a farce? It's just like me paying for a pay-per-view of Jake Paul against Mike Tyson and then, getting angry about it afterwards. No, that's it. That's the way it is. Now, either they are going to really take this seriously, and one of them is going to get seriously hurt, and I would have a wager that Mike Tyson is going to get hurt here because of his age. That's it. You can't go against age. Or it's just going to be a snooze fest. It's just going to be a tapping around. They're not really going to go for each other. Or, as I said right at the start, I think I said this about 4 or 5 months ago when it was first announced, is that all Jake Paul has to do is dance around for a couple of rounds until Mike Tyson gets tired. That's it. It's not rocket science here. He just has to let Mike Tyson chase him around the ring a little bit, try and hit him a few times, and then just dance around. Once he starts to tire him, just time him. Just time him over and over again, and you just get him out of there. You get him out there quite quickly, or you'll just win on points. But it won't be a proper fight. That's the thing. It won't be a proper contest. Of two equal fighters, let's say, going for it 50-50. Let's just see who is the better technician, who's the better boxer, who has got more heart, who's got more desire. It's going to be none of that. And this is what annoys the hell out of me. And maybe that's what annoyed the hell out of all the boxing public who watching the Floyd Mayweather fight against Gotti over the weekend. It's just a farce, isn't it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But Floyd Mayweather, just stop doing it. You know, you're almost ruining your legacy with all this nonsense. Well, you are. For me, you have ruined it totally, right? Stop doing it. Just go back into the shadows and stop doing it. Jake Paul. And this, I can't be doing with it. I can't be doing with any of this sort of nonsense. You know, if you wanted to be serious about becoming a world champion, you'd start fighting those fighters who could easily take you out, and they're at club level. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below if you like what I do here. Don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell for all future videos, and I will catch you again in another video coming very soon. Bye now.
Bivol Baturviev undercard. What do we think? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to the channel. I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for future videos. So I'm away from my usual place today, and I just wanted to talk about the Bivol Baturviev fight on the 12th of October. Fantastic fight. It's a standalone fight for me. It's an amazing. It's going to be an amazing fight. Can't wait for it. It's probably the one fight that I really want to watch this year. But the undercard that's been announced, I'm kind of mixed emotions about it. To be fair with you, couple on the early undercard. Sky Nicholson, I think it's good to get her on the card as well. Interesting to see Ben Whittaker on there with Lynn Cameron as well. That's going to be an interesting fight as well. It'll be a nice tester for Ben Whittaker. I think it'll be a tough test for him as well. So let's see how he comes out on top. So you know, the early undercard, I'm actually quite happy with. I'm quite happy with that. Now, Jai Apataya comes on against Jack Massey. Again, this could be another interesting fight, but it's not one that sort of grabs the headlines in many ways in terms of name recognition. That's all I'm saying. Not in terms of the quality of the fight or the quality of Jack Massey, and nothing of the sort. But, you know, you kind of look at Jai Apataya and think, well, you know, about unification rather than, you know, fighting somebody else. So that's all I'm at with it. But again, it's almost like he's gone off the boil a little bit in terms of appeal to Turkey Sheikh or the Real season. I could be completely way off base here. It's just an impression, but it's a fight I'm really looking forward to, and it'll be interesting to see how Jai Apataya comes out on this, because he wasn't overly impressive in his last fight against Breedis, and you know, I would say that this is going to be another tough challenge for him. Now, the fight of the undercard for me is Fabio Wardy against Fraser Clark. What a banger that was in London. These two went to war. It was a fight of the year, pretty much. And you hope, just for their own health, it isn't going to be the same. And you would hope that, well, in many ways, you want it to be another banger exactly the same. But say for their own health, you kind of want it not to be, if you know what I mean. So hopefully they'll put on a great show. These two are going to go head to head. Can't wait for this fight. It's the fight of the undercard for me, no doubt. And I'm a bit disappointed that it's a little bit further down. I think it's about third on the undercard, when for me it should be main support, but that's just me. I know it's only at a British level, granted, but again, I would still have it up there just for purely the spectacle of these two going head to head. What a great fight this hopefully will be. Okay, so the main two bouts, there's two supporting bouts. This is where I have the problem with. I'm not sure if anybody else has it. So Chris Eubank Jr. is fighting Kamil Zamareta. And you kind of wonder, well, after all the talk, after all the names that have been associated with Chris Eubank Jr., who hasn't really fought in about a year or whatever it is, you kind of think, well, isn't there somebody else you could have fought? You know, what is going on here? I'm not sure about it. Good fighter, Zamareta, don't get me wrong. And, you know, he's got a decent record, but it's not a name. It's not somebody that I would say, oh, Chris Eubank Jr., you're going up against him. What a banger of a fight this is going to be. This is really going to draw the crowds. This is really going to draw the pay-per-views. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit, you know, if you're looking at it from a purely name recognition and spectacle, I just don't think it's that. And I think as an ultimate test for Chris Eubank Jr., I think they could have got a bigger name. Now, whether those big names weren't forthcoming, whether it's too difficult to make, I get it. And whether they just wanted to get Chris Eubank Jr. onto a boxing card, I get it. But at the same time, it's just a little bit, do you know what I mean? I'm not sure how I feel about it. The main undercard, the main support is Shakur Stevenson against Joe Cordina. Again, I don't know what to feel about this. Joe Cordina lost his world title in the last fight. He was kind of really unimpressive in his previous fight in Monte Carlo in Monaco, where many thought that he kind of lost that fight, and he was kind of a bit annoyed that people thought that he lost that fight. It was a tough challenge for him, and he definitely lost the last fight. But the question was whether he was ever going to step up in weight as well, and whether he was sort of draining himself. So this is probably a massive test for Joe Cordina to go in against Shakur Stevenson. I've got to say, I'm not a big fan of Shakur Stevenson. I just found his fights a little bit a dull affair. Now, again, this could be way off base here, but I'm just not sure whether this is the fight. It could be a very interesting fight. Tactically, it could be a very interesting fight, and it'd be great to see Joe Cordina back on top. And if he can get a win here, all the better. It would be an amazing achievement. I'm just not sure it's the main support fight that I would see it here. I would say Fabian Wardley, Fraser Clark as the main support. Probably this a little bit low. I'm not even sure if this is a great matchup. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But this is a Better Be Ever Bivol undercard. That has been announced a couple of days ago. I wanted a couple of days to digest it. And I say mixed emotions. They're great fights, don't get me wrong. And it's a great card. And it's something that you think, wow, this is a decent cut. But at the same time, there's something that's just gnawing away at me. And I think, especially those two fights, the Eubank against Zermaretta and the Shakur Stevenson against Joe Cordina, I'm just not sure whether they are that appealing, let's say, and they're going to be bangers. I think they're going to be quite dull affairs, especially Shakur Stevenson against Joe Cordina. And I don't put the blame on Cordina either. I think it's more Shakur Stevenson, and I think it's going to be up to Cordina to take it to Shakur Stevenson to make it a bit of a spectacle. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. So that's it. That's the Better Be Ever Bivol undercard. I can't wait for that fight. I really can't wait for that fight. And even if the full undercard is a lame duck, as long as that fight, that's the one I really want to watch. That's the one, we're all, waiting with bated breath to watch. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for that. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I'll catch you again. Bye now.
So what a month of boxing it is. September is the month. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to I'm Your Son. I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So we've just had the Inoue fight, who's retained his undisputed title in Tokyo, Japan against Doheny. Now we've got Canelo against Berlanga, and then towards the end of the month, obviously we've got AJ against Dubois as well. What a great month of boxing. What a treat that is being delivered to us, that we can feast upon. It's just fantastic. So let's just get into the Canelo-Berlanga fight. You might have seen all the press conferences of these two, going head to head and sort of launching insults at each other. And one the Mexican and the other, the one from New York, Puerto Rican. And they are really going at each other. And, it's kind of spiteful, and it's just, vicious in the way they're sort of talking to each other as well. There's no love lost between these two. No chance. Now, who's going to win out of these two? I've got a sneaking feeling here that Berlanga's going to put it on him. He's going to put it on Canelo, and it's going to be a tough fight for Canelo to come out of this. But I think ultimately Canelo's going to win. But this is not going to be an easy fight. I think this is going to be a bit of a battle of attrition here, a war of attrition between these two. The last 5 fights or so, Canelo's gone the distance. Won by unanimous decision, yes, but he's gone the distance. And he's clearly won those fights. I'm not arguing with those decisions whatsoever, those scorecards whatsoever. But what I'm saying is that the Berlanga, he does appear to be, he's not cannon fodder. Definitely not cannon fodder for Canelo. And I think he's probably the one who's going to trouble him a lot more. But I say, let us know your thoughts on that. Very interested to see what's going on behind the scenes. What I'll say with Canelo, Turkey Al-Sheikh, Eddie Hearn, all that kind of triangle of hate that's going on there as well. You know, I've remarked on this before in terms of the way Canelo operates. You know, he sees himself as the ultimate A-side, and everybody's got to come to meet his demands. So when all of a sudden somebody else comes into the mix, let's say Turkey Al-Sheikh, and all of a sudden they're saying, no, you got to do it by our rules, or we'll get you to fight who we want to fight. All of a sudden Canelo's going, no. You know, you don't dictate the pace here. I dictate the pace. I am the king, you know. So I think there's this battle of, you know, wills, as it were, there behind the scenes. But so it'd be very interesting to see what happens in this fight and where Canelo goes on afterwards, because I do believe he will win. I could have egg on my face at the end of this, but you know, I do believe he will win. But I think Belanga's coming for a fight, and he's definitely coming for a war. Can't wait for that fight. So let's just move on to the big card in London, Wembley Stadium, towards the end of the month. Well, it's 100,000 tickets have already been sold. It's sold out, I believe. Great undercard, fantastic stacked undercard. And then you got the main event. The main event, AJ against Dubois. They're already now talking about Turkey Al-Sheikh. He's already talking about Fury against Usyk 2. If that's even going to happen. Is that even going to happen? We don't really know what's going to happen. The thing is about Tyson Fury is so unpredictable in terms of, you know, his fights and the lead up to his fights. But we're still aiming for that December, you know, fight, isn't it? But then Turkey Al-Sheikh said no, came on the other day and said, look, actually, no, before Fury Usyk 3, if there ever was going to be, the next fight for Fury, want it to be with AJ. Definitely want those two to fight. I could not agree more. What a fantastic fight. You know, once you've added 2 Fury Usyk fights, whichever way it goes, even if Fury wins, right? Even if Fury wins, or even if he loses, we want to see the AJ fight. That's what we want to see. As boxing fans, the ultimate, that's what we want. The Battle of Britain, the battle of the heavyweights, the battle of the best heavyweights of the last sort of 10 years or so. That's what we want. And Usyk is almost going to be pushed to the side, marginalised a little bit, where he shouldn't be, really. But, you know, that's where we're aiming at. But in between then, obviously, there's this small little thing of Dubois for AJ. Now, they've had their head-to-head, they've had their face-to-face. It's just been released, the kind of face-to-face, but we know what happened at the end of it. You know, AJ and Dubois, you know, had a bit of a set to, didn't they? But it'd be very interesting to see how AJ copes with it. I've got a feeling that AJ is going to figure him out very, very quickly. I think Dubois is going to go in there with his head down and he's just going to be launching bombs. AJ is going to move out the way of those. He might get caught by a couple, but I think he's going to move out the way. He's going to be boxing clever. And then Dubois is going to get tired out. He's probably going to get penalised for his head down as well, and head butting, that kind of thing. But I just think ultimately AJ is going to catch Dubois cleanly and more powerfully than he's ever been hit before. And I think that's what's going to be the undoing of Dubois, because in many ways he's still so open. Now, unless something completely changes in the way Dubois fights, this is the way I see it. It's going to be a relatively easy win for AJ in this fight. Now, I could be completely wrong. Again, it could be egg on my face on here, but I just don't see how AJ can lose this fight. Now, the only way he loses this fight, if he's complacent, which I don't believe he will be, if he underestimates Dubois' kind of commitment to the cause, or, you know, the talent that he has, or the power that he has as well. If he underestimates him, if he's a little bit complacent, then it could be an early bath for AJ because of the power involved. I mean, Dubois has just got huge power in those hands. But I think if AJ boxes clever, he'll get him out of there within 4 or 5 rounds. I'm absolutely convinced of it. But I say, what a great month of boxing ahead. It's great to see what's happening between AJ and Dubois in the run-up to this fight, and everything else that's been billowed up, you know, with all the other fights as well. Can't wait for that undercard. Fantastic, fantastic fight. I can't wait for the Canelo-Belanga fight as well. We just had Inouye, the TKO win in the 7th round against Doheny. That was a great fight to watch in terms of a technical aspect. The way Inouye was just gradually building up and starting to build up momentum to take out Doheny, who had to retire through an injury anyway. But you could see it was going to happen. But I say, great month of boxing, and it just culminates in the Riyadh season boxing card at Wembley Stadium, and AJ versus Dubois. AJ is my pick. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for future videos. And I will catch you again in another video coming very soon. Bye now. So, instant reaction here. Canelo beating Berlanga. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to On Me Head, son. So, just finished watching Canelo versus Berlanga. It's god-awful time in the morning. And, you know, I've got to say, a totally convincing, dominating performance again from Canelo. Yes, egg on my face, because I thought Berlanga would bring it a little bit more. I thought he would be just a bit more aggressive. And yeah, there were moments in the fight, there were moments in certain rounds, but as the fight went on, more and more it was calling out for Berlanga just to come out with something, just to, you know, give it all. And I suppose this is my point. You're down in the fight. You're clearly down in the fight. Canelo at times is just toying with you. So, you know, whilst it wasn't all one way, you know, he was clearly down and he was losing every round. So you get into the 8th, you get into the 9th, and you think, right, maybe I've just got to throw the kitchen sink at this guy and just go for it. Because basically what you're going to do, you're going to go the distance, you're going to go 12 with Canelo, who's going to get another unanimous, you know, decision win. So congratulations to Canelo, of course. But have you really left it all in the ring? Have you really, you know, gone out on your sword, with your sword in hand, as it were? I just don't think Berlanga did. I thought he had moments there, especially in the 9th and the 10th, where there was a couple of throws there and you think, oh, you know, Canelo felt that, and he didn't really jump on it. He didn't really capitalise on it. So I suppose from my point of view, I think, look, you're down in the 8th, you're down in the 9th, you're clearly losing. What else have you got to lose? So if you just step it up and just go for it, you're either going to get knocked out or you're going to get TKO'd. Or is it better to go to the distance and still lose? So it's almost like, okay, well, I went the distance. So if the game plan is you went the distance and you still lost, but you didn't give it your all. Or maybe you did give it your all and it just wasn't good enough. You couldn't penetrate Canelo, you couldn't get anywhere near it. But there were a couple of examples, there were a couple of moments where you did get through in the 9th and the 10th. And I just think if you'd stepped on it just a little bit more, you might have had a bit more success with Canelo. But as I say, all the spoils to Canelo, of course. He's done it again. Did he just outclass Berlanga? Well, on the face of it, yeah, he did. Totally outclassed him. But I just thought Berlanga could have brought a little bit more. He should have brought a little bit more. I think he should have just thrown a bit of caution to the wind. Not total caution to the wind, but a bit of caution to the wind, considering that he was so down in this fight, especially going to the 9th, 10th. And then especially if you're getting to the 11th and 12th, and you know, you're so down, your corner should be telling you are so down, you know, you should be going for it. That, you know, just give it that Hail Mary pass, as it were. Just do what you got to do. Because if the corner is telling you, just go the distance, well, you're going to go the distance and you're going to lose. So I'm not sure which is the better way to go out myself. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell for all future videos. Right, I'm off to bed. Ta-ra. Does Daniel Dubois have any chance against Anthony Joshua? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to On Me Head, son. I hope you're well. If you know what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So we're approaching the mega fight card this weekend. AJ against Daniel Dubois. Who's going to win? Does Daniel Dubois have any chance against AJ? Is he going to shock the world? But the first and foremost, I just want to talk about the undercard. Some great fights there. Some great fights. It's a shame, unfortunately, that Liam Smith had to pull out. He's got a viral infection against Josh Kelly, because that was one of the fights I was really looking forward to. I'm really not sure what I should make of Chamberlain against Padley. I've got to say, it'd be an interesting game. Chamberlain has put on some decent displays. He's one of Turkey Al-Sheikh's favourite fighters, you know, strangely enough. But there we go. So that'd be an interesting fight there. Really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to the undercard of this, I've got to say. So well done to everybody who's put this together. And this is what we can expect from, you know, Saudi fight cards, the Riyadh season fight cards. Of course, we know that now. Boatsy against Hutchinson. Again, this is going to be a corker, an absolute corker. If I was to pick a fight from the undercard to be the fight of the night, this is going to be it. This would be the one to watch. And again, I'm going to go for a Hutchinson win on this one. I think he might do really well. Obviously, he did great last time out. And Boatsy, stylistically, this could be the fight of the night, I've got to say. So, fantastic. Certainly the fight of the undercard. Then I look at Kakachi against Josh Warrington as well, and I think, wow, that's an amazing fight as well. So, again, I really can't pick a winner out of these two. I'm going to go for a Kakachi winner there, just purely on mileage and age and things like that. But you know, again, this would be a great brawl as well. And again, Liam Smith against Josh Kelly. I was really looking forward to that. I was going to go for a Josh Kelly win on that again, but really unfortunate that Liam Smith has had to pull out, but also had to miss out on this opportunity. I don't know how this works out for Josh Kelly. They're not going to get somebody else in at short notice, of course, and they're not going to be able to plug that gap in the undercard either. So, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? The main support, if you like, to AJ Dubois is Denny against Shiraz. Again, cracking fight. I really can't call this one. I'm going to go with Shiraz, more based on name and what I've seen. I've seen him more than I've seen Denny. I've got to say, I'll hold my hands up on that one. But as I say, I'll go with that. Really looking forward to this. But as I say, the fight that I'm really looking forward to is Boatsy against Hutchinson. I think it's going to be a corker. But again, Kakachi against Warrington. I'm looking forward to that one as well, I got to say. But Joshua against Dubois. This is the main point in this video. I've kind of made my thoughts known about. I think Josh is going to win this, and the reasons why, and the way he's changed, and the Davison as well. He's more clinical now, and I've given my piece about that. But actually, when you kind of think about it, Dubois is a real threat here, and this is when it comes to what I call champion's choice or king's choice. When I was talking about Canelo in the previous video, you say, well, you know, if you reach a certain status, a certain elevated status in boxing, you know, you won world titles, you know, you're a massive name, then you kind of pick and choose who you fight against. So let's just face it, if Dubois wasn't the IBF world champion, AJ wouldn't be fighting him. He wouldn't be fighting because, one, there's too much risk and there's no reward. But the reward is there because he could become 3-time world champion, becoming the IBF world heavyweight champion, of course. So this is where I'm at with it. I think, well, it's a real risk, and any heavyweight can be a real risk. In fact, any boxer in any way can be a real challenge, a real risk. If you catch your opponent right, that's it, it's game over. But especially, as we know, in the heavier weights, especially in heavyweights, but you could say light heavy, cruiser, bridger, if you want to use that, but into the heavyweights, and especially into the heavier heavyweights. One big blow, that's it. It could be good night Vienna. So there's a real risk here. There's a real risk for AJ here. There's obviously a real risk for Daniel Dubois as well. Both are heavy hitters. Both are going to go on the front foot, especially Daniel Dubois. He's going to go on the front foot. I think AJ's going to have to box clever. And if Daniel Dubois just kind of throws caution to the wind, as he kind of has done in the last couple of fights, especially against Hrgovic, where he was getting clipped himself, but he kept on coming forward, and he shows that resilience that he has shown, then, yeah, he could be a real problem. He could be a real problem for AJ. Now, if he wins Daniel Dubois, he will retain his IBF world champion, but I think we can all agree this will be a shock. This will be a shock victory. This will be a monumental victory for Daniel Dubois. This will be the biggest victory of his career. This will be the biggest fight of his career. I know he went in with Usyk, right? But nobody was expected him to win. I was even surprised that he even got the opportunity to fight Usyk. But this is the biggest fight of his career, no doubt. And the biggest crowd. no doubt. So he's going to be feeling the pressure a lot more. So when you stack all these things there, you got to favour AJ. But Daniel Dubois, if he can block all that out, if his team have been able to work on him mentally so he can block all the noise out and just focus on who's in front of him and just go with his own game plan and being able to resist AJ's shots as well, because he leaves himself wide open. That's the problem with Dubois. He just leaves himself wide open, but he's heavy-handed. And he's just going to keep on coming forward. He's going to go head down as well, and he might get in trouble with the ref as well. Don't discount that as well. So we'll have to see how this plays out. Of course, this is a kind of prediction, but it's a real danger, and this is a real danger for all of these champions or ex-champions, big names, trying to take on lesser names, because there's nothing in there for. There's a lot of risk. Because any boxer can have his day, right? Rocky can have his day, but anybody can have their day in the sun, and then they can turn the lights out on a champion. That's why it doesn't really happen. It doesn't really happen until somebody's made up their name, they've built up a reputation, they got wins, and then it becomes financially viable for both of these two big names to come together. But you very rarely see a really big name against a small name, because there's risk there, but there's no reward. And this is where I'll put this fixture, or this match, this boxing match, this fight in that kind of arena, if you like. There's a lot of risk for AJ to fight Dubois, a very tangible risk. Dubois could easily win this, could easily put AJ under pressure, and if he clocks him, it could be good night. It could bring back all the Andy Ruiz, it could bring back all the Usyk, trials and tribulations. But if he clocks him, he could be in real trouble. But the reward is, because he can get another world title, 3 times world champion. This is massive, massive, massive risk, but massive reward as well. But I still think AJ is going to win. But Daniel Dubois, I tell you what, if he just sticks with what he does best, just ignoring the noise, just going in there, just punching, and just accepting he's going to get punched. If he can resist that punishment from AJ, then he's got a real chance. He's got a bigger chance than anybody would ever give him before, I would say. But this fight, and being a no illusion, my opinion is this fight is only being made because the IBF is on the line. That's it. Otherwise, AJ would not be fighting Dubois. No, because Dubois didn't have the name. He doesn't have the credo to come up and fight an AJ. He doesn't. The only reason he's got that is because he's got the IBF bout. That's it. AJ should be fighting Usyk. AJ should be fighting Fury. That's the league he's in, right? Daniel Dubois is in another league. He's 27 years old. He's going to build up to be at that top table in that league. But right now, no, he's not there. But he could soon be. If he beats AJ, he'll be right up there. He'll be right up there. And look, who's to say that he can't go in against Usyk and go in against Fury and really challenge them and put them to the sword as well? But, does Usyk or Fury really want to fight Dubois? I really can't see it. I really can't see it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But Dubois can definitely win this. Could definitely win it. No doubt. If AJ's complacent, I said this in a previous video, Dubois can win this. If AJ's complacent, if he doesn't box clever, if he makes mistakes and he gets clipped by Dubois, heavy-handed Dubois, he could easily lose. And it will shock the world. This result will shock the world if it goes in Dubois' favour. If it goes in AJ's favour, I think people will say, yeah, job done. That's what we expected. That's what the world wants to see, because we want to see AJ Fury. We want to see AJ Usyk as well, and in a final couple of fights in AJ's career. It's kind of written on the stars, or written on the wall, as it were, on the planner from Turkey Al-Sheikh to go in that direction. But if Dubois upsets the show, then all of a sudden that all crumbles away. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for future videos. And I will catch you again in another video coming very soon. Bye now. AJ looked calm as you like. Daniel Dubois looked nervous. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to On Me Edson. So this is a reaction to the press conference last night for AJ against Dubois and also the undercard as well. I'm going to skip through the undercard because I think there's a couple of comical moments. Hutchinson and Boatzy sort of squaring off against each other verbally, that is. And Ishmael Davis giving it his all to Josh Kelly as well. So I thought there's a couple of interesting moments. But listen, I'm going to be talking about AJ against Dubois. Now, I was watching Ade Oladipo's video about how he kind of thought it was the press conference was a bit tough for him in terms of, you know, trying to get information out of the respective boxers, you know, trying to get them to open up and talk and make it a press conference and everything. He was really disappointed in the way they acted, possibly. But I also think you're kind of running a fine line between them saying too much and not saying enough, it getting out of hand. And they start name-calling left, right and centre and tables flying all over the place and them trying to come to blows. Or is that what we really want to see? Is that what you really want to see before a fight? Personally, I didn't get any of that. I always knew that it was going to be a bit difficult for anybody, whoever stood up there, to get anything out of AJ. Not so much AJ, but certainly out of Daniel Dubois. Obviously, Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren were there. They were giving it their little bits as well. But I thought overall, AJ looked very, very calm, as he has done all week. Looks very calm, very direct, very not kind of engaging in nonsense. He was very much there to do the press conference, to do what he had to do, sort of be respectful, be mindful. But you could tell behind the eyes, as it were, he was calculating and just revising the plan that they've got in mind for Daniel Dubois. They know what they need to do, or AJ in particular knows exactly what he needs to do. That's my impression. I have no insight here, but this is my impression. Whereas Daniel Dubois, he looks like a bit of a wound-up spring, ready to go. There's a few twitches here and there, the banging on the table, you know, the kind of hand gestures here and there. When they had the final face-off, Daniel Dubois looked quite nervous, quite skittish really, whereas AJ was very, very calm, hands in his tracksuit bottom pockets, just very, very calm, just chewing on his chewing gum or whatever he was chewing on. Whereas Daniel Dubois looked a little bit like this, eyes, you know, dancing around all over the place a little bit. You know, he was kind of clenching his fist, and at one point I saw him really clench his fist as if to say, "Come on, let's go." And it didn't seem quite right. Whilst he had a calm exterior, I'm not saying it was, you know, the very small signs were there for me that he's spending a lot of time, a lot of energy in this kind of, he's got a nervous energy about him. And I think he's going to possibly blow himself out before the night, or it's going to have a detrimental effect. If you're just looking at the two fighters side by side, one looks serene and calm and knows exactly what they need to do. It's like if you're revising for an exam, okay? You've got a big test at work tomorrow or whatever at school. You've done all your revision, you've done all your preparation, you're calm. You've done all you can do, okay? You're calm, you're ready for the next day. Whereas if you think you haven't done quite enough, or you're not too quite sure, you're a little bit on edge, you're a little bit nervous, right? That's exactly the impression I got from these two. AJ's done his swatting, he's done his homework. Daniel Dubois is kind of, he's done a bunk and gone off playing down the park. He hasn't done any homework at all. He's going to wing it tomorrow in the exam and see how we go. This is what I get from them. Now, obviously, who knows? This could work in Daniel Dubois' favour, this hyper-nervous energy when he gets into the ring. But how long can he sustain it for? For me, AJ has to be prepared for this side of Daniel Dubois, to come in, letting it all go, not really sure what he needs to do, not really boxing by fundamentals. He's just going to go in there like a bull in a china shop, and he'd probably lose himself a little bit, whereas AJ just needs to be controlled. Keep him at range possibly, certainly for a couple of rounds, just gauge him out, let him tire himself out, let that nervous energy build up in him, and maybe even frustrate Daniel Dubois a little bit, and just let that build up a little bit, let that build up inside him, and then in the third, fourth, fifth, whatever round it's going going to be. AJ just capitalizes on it and just goes for the knockout. Now, of course, that could be a completely wrong game plan. That might not even happen. Daniel Dubois might go in there and it might be tentative from both of them. They might show a lot of respect towards each other. They may both fight at distance just for a few rounds, and it might even go into the 8th, 9th, 10th round, even with the distance. Who knows? It really depends how they both tactically play this fight. But judging on their press conference, the way they were acting, and if kind of reading between the lines and the non-verbal communication there, one looked calm, one looked prepared, the other one looked unsure of the situation. And regardless of how calm they may have appeared and how calm they may have speaking, they didn't look right. They didn't look right for the occasion. And it was subtle. It was subtle. But if you go back and watch it, you'll see what I mean. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But as Daniel Dubois just got a little bit carried away with himself, is he a little bit too nervous for this? And it's AJ just playing this exactly as he should. Nice and calm. And as he said, when he gets actually into the ring, that's when he switches on. That's when it's time to go. Not now, not last week, not a face-off a month ago. It's now when you're in the ring. That's the most important thing. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I'll catch you again on another video coming very, very soon. Ta-da! Right, I'm locked in. AJ versus Dubois. What a Saturday night this is going to be. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to I'm Me Ed's son. Hope you're all well. So, can't wait for this Saturday night. AJ against Dubois. The undercard as well. What a great undercard this is going to be as well. Can't wait for it. I've got my pay-per-view. Yes, I've gone in and bought it. I've got to say this one thing. And let me know if you agree. Turkey Al Sheikh and what they've done in trying to say, no, we're going to try and stop illegal streaming by just having a very low pay-per-view price. And I think that's amazing. I think that's exactly what it's called for. Now, I'm not going to admit to ever illegally streaming, of course, but what I'm going to say is that the temptation is there. So if you're paying a really lot of money as a youngster or as an adult, but then you can bring that cost down, then all of a sudden you say, no, I'm going to pay for the proper service. I'm going to get good quality, pictures and video and everything. You can enjoy it knowing that you're doing it right? And also, it's only going to cost you £20 or whatever it is here in the UK. What it's going to be around the world, who knows? So that's a great thing. And I can't wait for this for this Riyadh card. Not only because it's AJ against Dubois headline, but as I say, the undercard, and I made a video about this as well. But I've got to say, as I'm getting closer to this night between AJ and Daniel Dubois, I'm really not sure. I was really confident for AJ a couple of weeks ago. In fact, this whole time I've been confident for AJ. But I've also sort of sang about the merits of Daniel Dubois as well and what a threat he can be, and, especially if AJ is complacent. But as the night is drawing in, I'm thinking, God, and the strangest thing was happening last night. I was having dreams about knockouts, dreams about an AJ knockout in the 3rd round. Just a right hand from Daniel Dubois, and he just sprawled back, and I had this. And then I had another dream, would you believe, where AJ, right hand, 1st round, down the pipe, and Dubois was just, all over the place, and he was out as well. So I can see both having a knockout here early rounds. I think Daniel Dubois seems to be very pumped up for this. In the walkout last night, he was very pumped out, very kind of bullish. He said, knockout, yeah, go for it. And he feels that he's in the moment. AJ, by contrast, seemed to be, no, ready for war, let's go for it. And I've said this about AJ before, he's very locked in, he's very clinical. And I believe he studied Daniel Dubois more than Daniel Dubois studied AJ. I could be completely wrong here, of course. An egg on my face, and I always try and preempt this now because I could always get it wrong. It's only an opinion. This is a gut feeling which I'm trying to portray to you, but I still believe that AJ will have Dubois' number. But the closer it gets, it's that kind of anticipation. Think, who's going to win? Who's going to come out on top here? Both heavy hitters. It's what a you know. I'm hopeful. In all fairness, I'm hopeful for an early round knockout by either party, right? Whichever it is. Now, on the flip side of that, I'm hopeful it goes 12 rounds. Is it 12 rounds or is it 10 rounds? Let's say 12 rounds. I'm hopefully go there and it'll be a slugfest all the way through, just like we had with Joyce and Chisora. What a great fight that was. For the fans, we loved it. If both of these can slug it out for 12 rounds, go the distance, fantastic. But if it goes the distance, if it goes past 6, 7, 8 rounds, then you're in no man's land. You're in no man's land for both fighters, really. So who knows what's going to happen? Will AJ still have the legs in him to go that distance against Dubois? Will Dubois have the same resilience to go all the way against AJ? And it's that punch power, that punch resistance in the later rounds. I mean, I can't see it going that way. I can't see it going past 5 or 6 rounds. I mean, my dreams, as it were, were first or third round. First round knockout for Dubois, the third round knockout for AJ. I'd say I'm sitting right on the fence here. I still lean towards AJ, but I really don't know. But I say the anticipation is building, and possibly because it's the event, possibly because it's 96,000 at Wembley Stadium, possibly because this is probably one of the biggest nights in boxing, certainly the biggest spectacle in boxing that we've had in a long, long time. If we're talking about the best night of boxing for 2024, probably this is it. I know Usyk and Fury. I know we're going to have the rematch in December. I know Bivol Beterbiev. I know that. And don't get me wrong. And I know we've had, Haney against Garcia was a great night as well. We've had the tank fight as well. What else have we had? Well, Canelo, of course, and his fights. Yeah, these are massive nights. Don't get me wrong. But in terms of, and I'm not just saying this as a Brit, I'm just saying this from an overall spectacle, the way it's been ramped up. And possibly you could argue that it shouldn't have been ramped up so much. And I've given my explanations why. If the IBF title wasn't on the line, I don't think we'd see AJ in Dubai in the ring at this stage. I just don't think we'd see it. But possibly it's just the way it's gathered the imagination. And maybe because the British boxing fans have probably feel a little bit starved of big-time boxing since a lot of it has gone to Saudi Arabia and Riyadh. And maybe that's why. Maybe there's this sudden surge of interest, not only from real ardent fans, but your occasional fans, your casual fans, let's say. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But certainly the anticipation has built up so much. It's ramped up. And thanks, in part, a lot of it to more channels, YouTube channels talking about it, a lot more, TV and radio talking about it. So our Talk Sport are just constantly going on about it, as you should imagine they should be, of course. Also, because the way Turkey Al-Sheikh and Riyadh season, these opened up the broadcast rights as well. I believe, certainly DAZN have got it. I believe Sky Sports have got it. I do believe TNT have got it as well. So everybody's happy. In the United States, I think ESPN have got it as well, maybe a couple of others as well. It's going all around the world with DAZN. So, you've got this kind of unchatteled way of delivering this fight to lots of people, well, millions, billions around the world, possibly. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why this kind of whole thing is coming up. And it's going to come down to who's going to be able to withstand that pressure, the night, the occasion, who's going to be able to deal with it more. I've always thought that Daniel Dubois looks like a rabbit caught in the headlights. He just looks a little bit lost, a little bit. And we had repeated chimes from people who've talked about his corner have always had to give him ongoing things to do. They say, do this, combination, 1, 2, go in, go out, all this kind of circle right, circle right. They're almost trying to tell him what to do as the fight's going on, whereas other fighters just know what they need to do. And maybe that's it. Maybe this is where we're going to see the big mismatch. I think we're building this up that this fight is going to be so close and anybody can win. And of course, anybody can win. That's not the point. The point is, are we really going to see the big mismatch on the night when you consider the seasoned boxer that is AJ against, well, the powerhouse that is Daniel Dubois, who probably hasn't got the ring IQ that AJ has. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't win just because he hasn't got the ring IQ, of course. As we know, so many times in the past that lesser fighters, in inverted commas, have beaten the better fighter on paper. That happens all the time. But in this case, we may see a massive disparity. But at the same time, now I just can't call it. I can't believe this, that I've woken up this morning and I think I just can't call this fight. I actually cannot call this fight. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, but I cannot wait to do a review of this fight. I cannot wait. And I probably haven't thought this way about a fight all year. That is honest truth. Haven't thought this way about a fight all year. That probably tells its own story. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell for future videos, and I will catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now. So the fight has just ended. Dubois has won. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Round 5, and it was just slugfest. It was a slugfest. And basically Dubois just went for him. Just went for AJ right from round 1. Had him shook down in the first, down in the third. Legs were all over the place. And Dubois just kept on coming. AJ was clocking him as well with the right hand. Every now and again, they were both finding the jab as well. But Dubois just walked straight through it. Then in the 5th, I thought AJ was going to have Dubois on the canvas. He was clocking him with the right hand, and again. Then Dubois just came with the right hand and absolutely annihilated AJ. He was out for the count. He was almost doing somersaults on the floor. Total shot. I did say in a previous video, could Dubois do it? Would it shock the world? And it has. It has completely shocked the world. Daniel Dubois, Triple D, has beaten AJ. He retains the IBF world title, the heavyweight world title. He is the man. He is the big heavy hitter. And I'll tell you what, in the first round, I thought Daniel Dubois was, he looked great. But anytime they're in the clinch, or anytime AJ was clocking him, he was looking at his corner, he was unsure. I thought, oh God, he doesn't know what he's doing. He has no idea. But AJ, on the walkout, I thought, you know what? You look a little bit pale here, mate. You look a little bit. Other commentators say, no, he's very serious. And I thought, no, he looks a little bit stale. He doesn't look quite right. I had exactly the same feeling when Chris Eubank Jr. came out against Liam Smith, the first fight. I thought exactly the same thing. And I was looking at him and I thought, it doesn't look quite right. He got into there, and I tell you what, he just could not cope with Daniel Dubois. He could not cope with him. Unbelievable fight. Unbelievable finish. Daniel Dubois, take a bow, son. Take a bow, because you probably proved 80-90% of us wrong. I was, if I saw my previous videos, I was saying I was fully AJ, and then as I got closer to the fight, I'm not so sure. Still slightly leaning towards AJ, but I could see Daniel Dubois being a real threat, and he was, because he went right in the front foot. As I said, the only way to beat AJ, go right in the front foot, take it to him straight away, and that's exactly what he did. No mercy, he just didn't think. He was hitting out the jab, and he just kept on going with that overhand right hand. And he was catching AJ time and time again. Bloody hell. AJ, where does this leave AJ now? No idea. Where does this leave Daniel Dubois? Wow, onwards and upwards for him. Who's going to want to fight Daniel Dubois now with those heavy hands? Look, whoever wins out of Usyk and Fury, you've got to be looking at a Daniel Dubois matchup. You've got to. If Fury loses against Usyk, yeah, there's a case for AJ against Fury. But really, all you can say now is that AJ was just no match for Daniel Dubois' power, his intensity, his relentless forward demeanor, as it were. He just kept on going. And no matter what AJ hit him with, he just walked right through it. Unbelievable. Take a bow, Daniel Dubois. What a finish. What a finish. AJ KO'd, knockout. That's it. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. I'll catch you again. Bye now.
Where does Daniel Dubois go now? Let's get into this one. Hello, welcome to On Me Edson. Hope you're all well. So what a devastating victory for Daniel Dubois on Saturday night against Anthony Joshua at the Wembley Stadium, Riyadh fight card. What an amazing victory. He was just too powerful, too quick, too strong, too intent on getting into AJ's face, and he was just relentless. Yes, AJ came back a little bit at times in a couple of rounds, but let's not mess around here. Daniel Dubois, from the very first round, from the very first bout, he was in AJ's face and he was landing the jab, a heavy jab, and he was landing right hands freely. Yeah, free will, he was just hitting AJ, and AJ had no response. In fact, AJ looked well below par here. So what happens now to Daniel Dubois? Where does he go from here? Well, you would imagine there's only one way. He's got to go up. He's got to go to the top table because he is a bona fide world champion now. Yes, there was some kind of question about whether he's actually the IBF world champion, really, because it was handed to him because Usyk had to vacate that bout. Okay, granted, but now he's officially defended that bout against AJ in devastating fashion. So you think, yeah, okay, fine, legitimize that for me. But now, where does he go? Well, for me, he's got to go up. He's got to go against Fury, or he's got to go against Usyk. But that all depends on what happens with their fight in December. So, does he have a fight in the meantime? Well, Joseph Parker was already calling him out last night, and why wouldn't he? Because, you know, you can see this is the big challenge. This is going to be a big money fight, and if he can get on the Riyadh fight card again, let's say even in December, on the undercard of Fury Usyk, then what a great night of boxing that will really be. And I totally agree. In fact, I think that would be a great fight. It'll be a great matchup. Joseph Parker has proven himself in the last couple of fights to not only have what it takes to get in the ring again and come out with convincing wins, but also be under pressure, especially his last fight against Zhilei Zhang, be under a lot of pressure, but come through and win. And that's what it takes. He's going to have to box really clever, come up with a great strategy against Daniel Dubois to even have any chance there. But what about Daniel Dubois? Is that the right fight for him? Now, in the other video when I was talking about where does Joshua go, for me, the only fight for Joshua is to go back in with Dubois. So if we're talking money fight here, if we're talking a fight that's really going to capture the imagination, a rematch for Dubois against AJ, whilst I've already said that AJ doesn't deserve that rematch based on his performance, if you want to solidify that position, Daniel Dubois, then yeah, go for another AJ win. Because basically, on that performance, it'll be a no-brainer. Now, whether people would want to see it, I think they do. I think they do want to see that fought again, just to see. Would it happen in December? I don't think it would. Would it happen in, let's say, a January fight card, a late January fight card? Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's what could happen there. But if, let's say, the AJ fight is not on, is the Joseph Parker fight a better fight? What about somebody else like Zhilei Zhang? Personally, I would love to see Daniel Dubois in a boxing ring with Zhilei Zhang, just to see how he would match up against somebody who could keep him at range and just, and box clever on a southpaw stance as well. I think that'd be a really interesting matchup. You got a young bull, a young lion, as I keep on calling him, Triple D, against an old man, really, that is Zhilei Zhang, but who's got a lot of pedigree, has also got a lot of style for me, and he's also got a lot of power as well. But the thing is with Zhang, every now and again, he does switch off. And you kind of wonder, what's his game plan? What's going on there? Unfortunately, I don't think there's anybody else in the heavyweight division right now at that top table, that top tier that we're thinking about right now, that really Daniel Dubois should be fighting right now. So I'm going to throw this a little spanner in the works and see what you think of it. Daniel Dubois, yeah, he could fight Zhilei Zhang. He could fight Wilder, but who cares about that? I don't want to see it whitewashed there. Wilder, for me, should never get in the ring again. He could fight Joseph Parker as well. Yeah, granted. But I tell you, this fight would be really, really interesting for me. Left field answer, but I tell you what, Martin Bakole for me. You put Daniel Dubois in with Martin Bakole, let's just see what happens there. Two big heavy hitters. One's kind of stationary, one's kind of lethargic. He kind of punches with his arms. There's not a lot of movement, but there's a huge amount of power there. What a fantastic win against Jared Anderson. Amazing, amazing win. And I'm a huge Bakole fan here, so maybe this is why I'm trying to get him in the ring with Daniel Dubois.
then I think Martin McCauley would give Daniel Dubois a run for his money as well. I truly do. So for me, the fight to make, because McCauley would be underestimated by many boxing fans, and also I think by the promoters as well, I think that Daniel Dubois' next fight should be against Martin McCauley. Martin McCauley, Daniel Dubois, on the December fight card. If Daniel Dubois is recovered in time, which I think he has, Martin McCauley had a relatively easy win against Jared Anderson, so I think he'll definitely be ready for it. That's my pick. That's where he should go next. But ultimately, we know that the trajectory of Daniel Dubois is onwards and upwards. So he's 27 years old. He's got time now to lose his belt, if that were to happen. Of course, I'm not saying that would. And he could also come back again and again and again. He's got youth on his side, whereas the rest of the fighters at that top table, the top tier, they don't have youth on their side. Jili Zhang has probably got, well, you could argue he should have retired already, but you know, he is retiring very soon. Same with Usyk, same with Fury, definitely with AJ. Wilder's already gone, let's say. There's calls for him to come back, but let's face it, we don't want to see that either. Joseph Parker is getting up in years as well. So, you know, we're talking about Daniel Dubois and that next generation. Well, that next generation, there's not many there. You've got Jared Anderson, obviously, who Martin McCauley's beat. Martin McCauley's there as well. I think could be a great champion. But then you're looking beyond that, and I say there's not many there at all. Not many who've proven themselves in recent months or the last couple of years, or certainly put themselves into the consciousness of not only big boxing fans, but also the big fight promoters as well. So for me, there are options for Daniel Dubois before he can get into the ring with Tyson Fury and or Usyk, and to get a unification fight and to get an undisputed fight. He's going to want to get in with somebody else before he gets in with either of those two. Now, who would win out of Usyk and Fury? I'll make another video about that nearer the time. I believe that Fury has a really good chance in that fight. I really do. I said it straight after the fight against Usyk, the first fight. I think he's got a good chance. So then this poses the other big question. If Fury were to win, or to lose, let's say, but if you definitely were to win, and if that's the fight you want to make, Fury against Dubois, how would that happen? Would that even be allowed to happen? Because they're both under Frank Warren. Would that even be a thing? Would Fury just back that one away and say, no, he's no good. He'll play his games again. He's just not good enough for me. And we'd never see that fight. If Usyk wins or if Usyk loses, then there's a much better chance that Dubois would fight Usyk in an undisputed fight or some kind of loser's fight as well. But that for me would be the fight that's most logical and most likely as well. But if Fury wins, I don't think Dubois is fighting Fury anytime soon. In fact, I don't think it will happen at all. But Dubois, Usyk, yeah, he's already called for a rematch already. I think that happens. I definitely think that happens. But we're talking about 6-8 months down the line. So Dubois needs a fight in the meantime. He has to keep himself active. And this is what I say always about boxers. You've got to keep yourself active every 3 or 4 months, especially if you're not injured. You need to be in the ring. You need to be fighting, especially at this level. Especially at this level, you need to be active. So Dubois, he needs a fight before the Fury or the Usyk opportunity, let's say. So therefore, we're talking Joseph Parker, Jili Zhang, Wilder, I suppose you could throw in there if you really wanted to have that wet dream. For me, no. But you know my thoughts. Martin McCauley all the way. I'm riding that McCauley train, and I think he would beat Daniel Dubois. There you go, I said it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I will catch you again in another video coming very soon. Hopefully back in the studio and back from Germany, where I'll be spending the week at the beer festival. Ta-da now. Where next for Anthony Joshua? Let's get into this one. Hello, welcome to Ed Son. I hope you're all well. So where next for Anthony Joshua after that devastating defeat to Daniel Dubois on the Riyadh fight card at Wembley Stadium? A devastating knockout. Not at the races, and you can watch my reaction video for all that. But what next for Anthony Joshua? Where does he go next? Now, he says he wants to continue fighting.
And he says, I'm still the warrior. I'm still here. But he didn't look like a warrior. That's the thing. He didn't look as if he was ready for the next generation of fighter. Now, we always have this in boxing previously, where you wouldn't get the fights that you really wanted. And you almost have, as I like to call it, champion's choice or king's choice, where the guys at the top of the division would never really fight those dangerous fighters. Whereas now under Riyadh fight cards, we're kind of getting that. We're getting fight cards and boxing matches between two boxers that ordinarily wouldn't normally fight each other, but all of a sudden they get in the ring and one of them gets really found out. This is what's happened to Anthony Joshua. He got found out there, really. So what next for him? Well, if you're looking at a fight against Usyk and Fury, as we were looking forward to, as a Riyadh fight card, as Turki Al-Sheikh was kind of looking forward to, especially AJ against Fury, you've got to be thinking, well, that's not on the cards now. There's no way you're going to put Joshua in with Fury and with Usyk. Why would you after that? So before this fight, there was a kind of a comment from Anthony Joshua saying, well, about fighting Wilder. And he said, yeah, I could always do that. Could this be a fight that Anthony Joshua and Wilder could do? Now, for me, Wilder's lost it. And many people would say he's lost it. He's not in the ring. But this could be exactly what Anthony Joshua needs to get back in the ring with somebody that we believe he could spark out convincingly. Now, even if he does that, does that mean that he's at the top table again? No, he's way off it. So there's only one fight for me that Anthony Joshua can have. And that is a rematch with Daniel Dubois. He has to get back into the lion's den and fight that young lion and show him what's what. This is almost a little bit, going off on a tangent, a little bit like Rocky 3 here. Rocky against Clubber Lang, Mr. T's character, right? He loses the first fight, bull in a china shop. He just gets completely outboxed, outfought, outbullied, outstrength. This is exactly what's happening with AJ against Dubois. So he needs some kind of big redemption arc. And the only way he's going to get that is to go back in the ring with Daniel Dubois. Now, when that would happen, who knows? You would imagine sooner rather than later. But for Daniel Dubois' point of view, well, he wants to go onwards and upwards. He needs to go on to something else. Usyk needs to go on with Fury. There's talk of him, well, accepting, or would he be propositioned by Joseph Parker to go in on the December fight card as well. Whomever he fights next, it's going to be an interesting fight for Daniel Dubois, and I'll touch on that in a video for him as well, where he goes next. But for AJ, for me, if he goes in with any other fighter, then it's almost like a nonsense fight. We don't need to see it. We don't need to see him against Wilder. Whilst, yeah, he would sell pay-per-views, and whilst, if they put him on the undercard on a big fight card, let's say in December or maybe in early next year, you could say, okay, that might be an interesting fight. But probably no. So who's the other fighter? Well, you could say, well, what about putting AJ in with Zhilei Zhang? That would actually be an interesting fight right now. And that would be something, it would be a test for AJ, no doubt, but also it give him a bit of credibility in a win, because Zhilei Zhang has also had some decent wins as well. Yes, he lost last time out as well, but at the same time, he's a decent fighter. Both aging though, this is the thing, Zhilei Zhang especially. Would that be a decent matchup? I think he poses a lot of problems for AJ. So whether he goes Zhilei Zhang, whether he goes for Wilder, they're unconvincing for me in terms of a rebuild. Well, in terms of a rebuild, maybe. But time's not on AJ's side. He really needs to get in there and try and get back to that top table. He's let it go, basically. He's screwed up. He's fucked this up completely. Let's make no bones about this. So the only way to get back in there, get in the mix, prove all the doubters wrong, is just to basically go in with a different game plan against Daniel Dubois. That's what Joshua, Eddie Hearn need to be shouting from the rooftops right now. get back in with Daniel Dubois and see what you can do and change your game plan. Certainly look at your footwork and look at your range and look at what your tactics are going to be against a raging bull that is Daniel Dubois. It was a really disappointing performance from AJ. I'm sure everybody can agree with that. And he got completely outfought, outbullied, outstrengthed, out-hit by Daniel Dubois. All the spoils to him, no doubt. But where does AJ go from here? He says he still wants to fight. And the only way he repairs the end of his career is to go in with the big hitters. Now, if you're talking about Wilder, he isn't a big hitter anymore. In fact, most people have written him off. So that's not a fight that you want to see. Now, if AJ had won and he was waiting for a tune-up fight before he went in with Fury or went in with Usyk again, then I'd say, yeah, okay. Yeah, Wilder, for funsies, yeah, okay, we put him on an undercard. I can see that. The same token, put him in with a Zhilei Zhang for funsies, yeah, okay, if he was waiting for a Fury or for an Usyk. But really, there's only one fight. There's only one fight for me. He's got to get straight back in the ring with Daniel Dubois. Now, whether Daniel Dubois would want that, whether Frank Warren would entertain it, he possibly would, but would AJ want that? And would Eddie Hearn want it? It appeared to me that Eddie Hearn was a bit shell-shocked by the whole thing, and he was really unsure what the future was going to be for Anthony Joshua. I think he kind of thinks that, after that performance, he needs to hang up his boots, or hang up his gloves, I should say. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But for me, there are a few fights out there for Anthony Joshua, but only one makes sense. It's an immediate rematch with Daniel Dubois. And I'm not saying he deserves that rematch based on that performance, because I don't think he does, in all fairness. He had a couple of seconds in the fifth where he thought he had Daniel Dubois on the ropes a little bit, but then he just got too greedy, let his guard down, and just got clocked, and that's it. Good night, Vienna. So on this performance, he doesn't deserve a rematch at all. But that's the only fight that's going to get him right to that Fury Usyk level again. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell for future videos, and I will catch you again. Another video coming very soon. Hopefully back in the studio. Bye now.
What was Dubois on? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to On Me Edson. I hope you're all well. So before I start this video, I want to make this perfectly clear. This is a hypothetical question. I am definitely not accusing anybody of anything whatsoever. I just want to make that perfectly clear. However, after Daniel Dubois' emphatic victory over AJ at the weekend, where he was just levels above in terms of power, in terms of speed, in terms of intensity, and he seems to have grown and grown over the last three fights to what we see now, a beast of a fighter. Okay, unfortunately, that sometimes I get the feeling that whenever we have a dramatic, emphatic victory or display of performance in sports, especially in solo sports, then you start to question, well, what's caused this? What's caused this jump? What's caused this performance? And whilst I'm not accusing anybody whatsoever, I want to make that perfectly clear, you kind of wonder, well, how has he got so good? Has it always been there? Was it just a mental thing? Or surely there's been something different that he's been doing? To get that kind of result in the way that he did against AJ, AJ was way off the pace, way off form. Daniel Dubois was not. He was at the races. He was ready for fire. He had the bit between his teeth, and all fair play to him. But I'm kind of waiting for an announcement, just in case something were to be announced and you think, oh, I knew it. I knew there was something up. I knew something wasn't quite right. Now, the reason why I've been wondering this, unfortunately, it's kind of modern sports life. You kind of think, what the hell's going on, as I've just explained. But before the fight, when AJ had the face-to-face with Daniel Dubois apparently had gone to Brazil. Now, I'm not sure what the story is there. You go to Brazil to do some training? Did he go there because apparently he's got a girlfriend there? I mean, that's a long-distance relationship, if I ever heard one. But AJ kind of intimated that there was something that he was doing there that he wouldn't be allowed to do over here. And I heard a couple of other reporters talk about this as well. So what was it he was doing in Brazil? Was he taking something? Is this some kind of ayahuasca thing that, Wilder had taken or something like that? Is this what we're talking about? Or has he been taking something else that hasn't been detected? We just don't know. At this point, I'm not accusing him whatsoever. And I really hope for his sake that any sort of urine test that he's had to take for this fight, nothing comes up positive. And I hope for AJ's sake that nothing comes out positive, because basically this would be another Devin Haney incident against Ryan Garcia, of course. And he just got pummeled in that fight, unnecessarily so, against somebody who'd had performance-enhancing drugs in his system. Regardless of how they got in there and what levels and all that kind of stuff, it's in your system, that's it. We know the score. But if AJ got pummeled like that, well, where does that leave AJ? Where does that leave Daniel Dubois? I mean, you could think that Daniel Dubois' career would be over, but hey, these days you can come back within a year or 2 years. AJ, you think, well, he's taking such a heavy beating now, what happens to him now? But regardless of whether something was in his system, he had a dramatic win, a dramatic display. And you could argue he had the same kind of display against Hrgović, but this seemed to be so much more. This seemed to be so much more dramatic, so much stronger, so much quicker, so much more decisive. It seemed as if he had clarity of thought and knew exactly what he had to do, whereas in the past, he didn't seem to have that. And whilst I acknowledge he was still looking towards his corner for instructions, step-by-step instructions at times, this is all Daniel Dubois. This is exactly what he needed to do. Now, whether it's this kind of level of performance and the really poor performance of Anthony Joshua that's really shown at the disparity, which I was talking about in some videos before the fight last week, maybe that's it. But I just can't help it. I just can't help thinking that with the little rumours that I'd heard about him going to Brazil, and I say I don't know what happened there, but people kind of being a bit tight-lipped and a little bit vague over that. They obviously know something that I don't, and something that maybe you guys know and I don't. Maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, and I hope I am. Again, I want to make this perfectly clear. I am not accusing anybody of anything. This is just a hypothetical. The hypothetical is not whether he's been on anything. The hypothetical for me is, how would we react? How would we react if we find out that this fight is tainted? It's tainted because, he's been taking a PED. Oh, hey, for that matter, Anthony Joshua has got something in his system. How would we feel? The greatest night of British boxing since I can remember, really. Then all of a sudden something like this would happen. Because it was such a dramatic win, the cogs start turning. And you start wondering what's going on, what happened. For the life of me, I hope nothing is in his system. I hope he's absolutely clean, 100%. I'm sure he is. I cannot believe I'm even making this video or suggesting it, but it'd be remiss of me not to kind of voice this when I kind of seen such a dramatic win, and then there's some questions here and there which I'm not sure about. So every boxer has to be tested. They have to prove that they are clean, right? So both fighters, or all fighters on that card, will have to prove that they are 100% clean. There's no problem there in that at all. So if I'm just asking, or anybody's asking, was he clean? You say, well, yeah, he's clean. Here's his results. Great. That's all we need to know. But because there was such a dramatic win, and the way he did it, the way he bossed that fight, and the way AJ underperformed, did he underperform, or did Dubois just make him look absolutely, second class, basically, over the hill? And he kind of did. And for that reason, you're kind of asking the question, digging a bit deeper, how did he get so good within 3 fights? Within just 3 fights, he got this good. Or was he always that good and he was just a bit too hesitant to show it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But for his sake, for AJ's sake, for the sake of boxing, for the sake of the boxing fans, I certainly hope there's nothing untoward here. And I just want to keep on saying it. I am not accusing anybody of anything, but I'm raising the question. How did he get so good, and how did he win so emphatically against Anthony Joshua? And maybe it's just a natural progression. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell for all future videos, and I will catch you again in another video coming very soon. But right now, I should be drinking a few beers in Germany. Catch you again. Bye now.
So the dust has settled from AJ against Dubois. Let's get into this one. Hello, welcome to Army Ed's son. So what a night of boxing it was. I did my instant reaction video last night. I have calmed down now this morning, but I've already had to watch the fight again and again and again, just to sort of dissect it even more. And I still stand by what I was saying last night. AJ looked nervous, looked not really at the races, not really with it as he was walking in. I know that's easy to say after the event, but that's my instant feeling. As soon as he got into the ring, he was twitchy. He was kind of not sure whether to take his robe off and keep it on. And you know, you could say the same for both, but Daniel Dubois looked ready for business. Anthony Joshua didn't. Let's get into the fight, because this is where it was really interesting. We kind of knew what the game plan for Daniel Dubois was going to be. He was going to be a bull in a china shop. He was going to go straight at AJ. And, you know, lots of people say, oh, it might be tentative. They were going to feed each other out. No, this was never going to be Daniel Dubois' game plan. That's not in his makeup. He was just going to be landing big right hands, and he was going to be testing AJ. And he's going to be right in AJ's face. So what did AJ do? He let him do it. He just let him do it. He didn't seem to have a plan, didn't seem to know what to do right from the very first bell. And for me, the only way to stop Daniel Dubois is not meet fire with fire. It's just to keep him at range. Let him swing and tire himself out, if that was ever going to happen. But certainly just to gauge him and frustrate him and make him miss. He needed to keep him at range and just keep him on the jab and just have much better footwork than he did. And he needed to just keep him right on that borderline, just to go in and out, in and out. So anytime Daniel Dubois was flicking out that jab, he just needed to lean back out of range and just time him. But he wasn't doing that. He was basically just staying in range the whole time. He was getting caught all the time. And whilst he was trying to, you know, counter that and hit Daniel Dubois, whatever his punches were, he wasn't hitting them with full force. And also, Daniel Dubois was just walking straight through them as well. So AJ's timing was all wrong, but his foot position was all wrong. His position in the ring was all right. He was just too close, way too close. And where he was at his range, that meant that he was leaning back and his chin was up in the air. It was just easy pickings in many ways for the bulldozer that was Daniel Dubois. I mean, that's all you can say about Daniel Dubois. He was just a bulldozer. He just went straight through AJ. It was easy in many ways for Daniel Dubois, because all he had to do was just keep it up. He knew that if he was in AJ's face, just to keep it going, his corner was screaming at him just to keep it going, keep on landing it. And in the first round, he knew he'd rocked AJ. He's rocked him to his core. Second round, much of the same. Third round, another knockdown. Fourth round, much of the same. You know, AJ at the end of the fourth started to get a little bit of success, but still was very unsure. It looked as if he was totally unsure of himself in there, and he was unsure of what his strategy should be against Daniel Dubois. And the key thing here, as soon as AJ was hit in that first round, he lost focus. He lost his idea or his identity, and he lost the capability to be able to change tactics. Now, you could label lots of things against Tyson Fury, for example, but he in fights has shown time and time again that he's adaptable in fights and he can change. AJ just did not show this at all. So what happened after that? Well, basically much of the same. He was just keeping himself too close to Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois was just timing him the whole time. Now, if you're asking me, honestly, do I think Daniel Dubois was the much better boxer? than AJ. Well, no, I didn't see him being a better boxer. I just saw him crowding out AJ, bullying him, and just being in his face and just landing bombs time and time again. But it was easy for Daniel Dubois to land bombs when AJ just kept himself in range. It was sloppy from AJ. It was naive in many ways, a bit too naive. And I'm really surprised at that. I'm really surprised that with Ben Davison, they hadn't worked this out, unless they had a game plan. They knew exactly what they had to do, but AJ just didn't execute it. So whilst it was a fantastic win for Daniel Dubois, taking nothing away from the way he fought, I've got to say that it was a really poor display from Anthony Joshua, who made it look easy for Daniel Dubois. And look, all the spoils to Dubois, he just absolutely went for it. Now, in the fifth, this is where the turning point could have happened, where AJ could have easily, at some point, taken Daniel Dubois out. You start to find his feet a little bit of composure. You start to find his right hand. And at one moment in that fifth, just before the knockout, actually, he thought, he's got him. He's got Daniel Dubois on the ropes. He's hurting him. He just needed patience at that point. And what he did, he showed no patience at all. He showed a lot of naivety. It's almost like he regressed back to a novice boxer in that, oh, I've got you now, I'm going to go for it again. And he just left himself wide open for the right hand by Daniel Dubois. Down he went, sack of spuds, rolling around. I mean, it's not a nice sight to see for AJ to be in a situation like that. But I've got to say, wow, what a knockout. What a fight in front of 96,000 people and millions around the world. But this throws a real spanner in the works for the whole AJ future, Daniel Dubois future. Maybe not a spanner for him, but it causes complications. But a big spanner in the works in terms of the future of Riyadh fight cards as well. They had a plan for AJ to go on to fight Fury and Usyk. What happens now? But in terms of just the fight itself, you could argue that there could be a rematch there of Daniel Dubois against AJ. They could be, but not on that performance. Not on that performance. You could argue that maybe in the fifth there was a sign that AJ could get to Daniel Dubois, but that was it. We're talking about a 2-second burst there, and we're basing a rematch on that. Well, based on the whole fight, no rematch really. There should be no rematch. But let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll make another video about the future of Daniel Dubois and AJ as well. But what a convincing win for Daniel Dubois. Just outsmarted, outfought, outbullied, outstrength, out-hit AJ in every department. It was just a whitewash really. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But that's my reaction to the fight, the day after the fight. I mean, just wow. What a fight it was. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell for future videos, and I will catch you again in another video coming very soon. Bye now. What a night of boxing at Wembley Stadium, and this is the AJ Dubois undercard reaction. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to On Me Edson. I hope you're all well. So this is the reaction to the undercard last night, and I've got to say there's some cracking little fights there, but also a few disappointments. So let's just get in the first fight, Chamberlain against Padley. Everybody was touting Chamberlain to win. This could be an easy win, but Padley, in his defense, he was basically saying, no, I'm coming here to fight. I'm coming here to shock a lot of people. I'm coming here to win as well. And that's exactly what he did. So on the basis of that fight, the way he took it to Chamberlain, the way he stuck in there, and they were going throw for throw, and it was just a great fight to watch from my point of view. Just watching that first fight in the afternoon, it was really great to see Padley come out on top. Now, what does this mean for Chamberlain going forward? And also Padley, will he appear on another fight card, on a Riyadh fight card? It's hard to say, but it was a fantastic win. In many ways, that is the win of the night. That is the win of the night, if you take away Dubois over AJ, of course. But that was the win of the night. And fair play to Padley. Great job of Chamberlain. Okay, next fight, Josh Kelly against Ishmael Davis. Again, Ishmael Davis was very bullish before the fight, saying, no, I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to do that to you, and don't underestimate me, all that kind of stuff. You know, so the before spat that they were having, it didn't really materialize that much in the ring. Josh Kelly won easily the first 5 or 6 rounds, and just on boxing acumen, really. But Ishmael Davis stuck in there, and he was sticking it on him. Went the distance, yes. Josh Kelly got the decision, but it wasn't a convincing win in many ways. And that's the problem I have with this. Josh Kelly, if you're going to be on these Riyadh cards, it's not only about just winning. It's about winning convincingly, winning with style, with entertainment as well. And yes, you can't always get that in boxing. You can't always get that in any combat sport. But at the same time, it just wasn't enough. He had lots of opportunities to step it up, and he just didn't. But then again, Ishmael Davis made it difficult for him as well. I mean, Ishmael Davis, fair play, very good performance from him. But Josh Kelly's got to be feeling a little bit disappointed with his performance. And on to the next fight, Warrington against Kakachi. Again, this was a decent fight for me. Kakachi looked quite strong. Warrington looked in there, and you thought, well, Warrington's going to be, you know, found out here at some point. But no, he stuck it in there as well. And he was given as good as he got as well. Kakachi, I thought, in the later rounds, you know, should have been doing better, should have stepped on it a little bit more, should have, you know, used his size and his power, but it just wasn't there in the end. So the decision was right. I thought it was a right decision. Kakachi, you know, won again. The IBF belt wasn't on the line. The IBO belt was on the line. A little bit confusing there, but I tell you what, it was a decent fight. You know, Josh Warrington can hold his head high. I would imagine. You know, whether he will appear on another big fight card like this, I doubt he ever will. But at the same time, will Kakachi as well. I mean, that's an interesting one for me. But a decent fight, no doubt. It was decent to see these two in the ring. You know, going head to head, as it were. But I would imagine Kakachi is going to feel slightly subdued that he didn't really get Warrington out there, you know, within the distance. Let us know your thoughts on that one. Okay, the next fight on the card, Buatsi against Hutchinson. Again, Hutchinson giving it large before the fight. Really selling this fight. I mean, you know, we're talking about personalities here going forward. And this is what you want. You want big personalities, you know, in the game. We've been saying this for boxers. They need to sell themselves a lot more. They need to be not necessarily just vocal, but they need to come with personality. Buatsi really didn't. Hutchinson definitely did. I'll tell you what, Buatsi looked stronger in this fight. He seemed to be punching with purpose a little bit more. Hutchinson was moving around a lot, and he was having some joy as well. It was a great little tussle here, great fight to watch. You know, the backwards and forwards. But whilst I thought Hutchinson was doing some great work in there, he was just never doing enough here. So for me, the decision was absolutely correct. I just don't see how one of the judges can give the fight to Hutchinson. I thought, you know, he did a lot of good work, definitely. But how he gets a win there, I do not know on one judge's scorecards. But I tell you what, Buatsi for me thoroughly deserved it. He seemed to be having more of the power punches rather than Hutchinson. Hutchinson seemed to be on his bike quite a bit, you know, and you know, I think if he just stood square on a little bit more to Buatsi, he might have had a bit more success. But I don't know. I got the impression that Hutchinson kind of acknowledged straight away that he couldn't hurt Buatsi with his power, whereas Buatsi, you know, was hurting Hutchinson a few times there. So again, Buatsi, yeah, decent win, decent fight all round. So that was a decent one for me. Okay, and the last fight before the main event was Shiraz against Tyler Denny. Again, it was David versus Goliath really in terms of sizes. And, you know, in the first round, I thought, oh, Tyler Denny's doing not so bad here. You know, he's just, yeah, he's getting in on the inside, or was trying to get on in the inside a little bit. But Shiraz just keeping him at length. And then in the second round, bosh, and he just hit him again. And he rocked him in the first round, and then he just rocked him in the second round, and that's it. You know, it was good night, Vienna. It was a clinical, devastating display from Shiraz. But at the same time, it just didn't look... It didn't look as if he was power punching but the power was obviously there. And it's not just on power, it's based on leverage as well. He's all limbs, isn't he? He's all limbs, especially when you compare him to Tyler Denny. So for me, the performance of the night was Shiraz. What he just shone in this. He goes from strength to strength. You've got to be looking at a world title fight for him as well. There's talk of him stepping up in weight as well to super mids. For me, he's got to get a world title in middleweight. In fact, there's a good case for him to clean up the middleweight division, go for an undisputed. If he could do that, we're talking legacy here as well. So amazing display from Shiraz for me. Unfortunately for Tyler Denny, he just came up against a much, much better boxer on the night. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, but I thought it was a fantastic undercard. Really did. I thought there were some winners and losers, of course, but in terms of performance, in terms of display, I thought some really shone, like Shiraz, and others that didn't shine at all, really, and that would be Josh Kelly for me. But much kudos to Padley as well in his win over Chamberlain. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And I will catch you again on another video coming very soon. Bye now.